quality of the games has been very, very good, very high level. The crowds have been terrific, and there's been a real positive atmosphere about the place. So, you know, from my perspective, it's been a great start.
Has it been frustrating for you to see? You mentioned that level of skepticism, the uncertainty, and the difficulty that, you know, these women's professional leagues have had in really taking a foothold.
It's probably more, it's sad in a sense, because, you know, this is the biggest women's soccer playing nation in the world by a mile. So, you know, if anywhere you hope we could have a real vibrant national league, it would be the US. So, yeah, it has been, and having been involved in one before, which again was a terrific league, it was really, you know, sad to see it going under. But, you know, hopefully, I think that the critical difference with this particular league is that the US Soccer Federation's involved in it, as well as the Canadian and the Mexican, and that gives it a far, far greater chance of success, and it gives it far greater stability.
Just talk a little bit about Abby Wambach and what she's meant to US soccer, if you could.
Not much, to be honest. She hasn't done a lot. I mean, she's been she has been the I don't know, Abby wouldn't like it if we use the word star, but, you know, she's been the flagship, if you like, of women's soccer in the US for probably the last, I don't know how many years, almost since she went into the old WSA, maybe 10 years. And she continues to be that person, you know. She continues to be probably the most recognised player, certainly in America and probably in the world, female player. And she's done it ever so well. You know, she's done it with a great demeanour, a great professionalism. When you see her around people, you know, great humility, I suppose, is the word as well, that she does it with. She's not a big timer, considering what she's done and how much she's achieved in the game. You know, and she's a great ambassador for women's football.
What makes her so good? You know, for so long too, the longevity. Yeah,
she's just a game winner. She's got the ability. You know, you can talk about anything else, but at the end of the day, sports people are judged on performance, and they're judged on performance particularly in big arenas. And she has never failed to perform in a big arena, and that's what she's got. She's got that X factor that's able to do that. You know, as well as a great football brain, as well as being, you know, brave and terrific in the air and a great player. But she's, you know, brought that extra factor where she's able to produce the goods constantly at the big games.
It seems like you've brought in the player pool from the US national team a little bit more since you've come on in the past 12 months. So is that something you're kind of looking at on these trips? Is like, who are some of the next players in line? Who are the maybe 20 to 24-year-olds who will catch your eye? Yeah,
that's an important factor in the league, is to give opportunities to other players and to unearth other players who may not have had an opportunity in the past. And it's very, very difficult. We face the same issue in Australia. It's very difficult in a national team programme when you don't have a platform to see players week in and week out. So you can't make judgments on them, and you can only bring so many players into a camp. So a league in a way is great for players who haven't had an opportunity in the national team so far. It's a great way to see how they perform week in and week out, and it's a great way to see how they compare with the established players in the team. The other reality though that I need to point out is that you have to be a good player to get in the US team. You know, so it's not easy for players to show they've got to be good to get in there. But this certainly gives them a platform.
Got 2 Australian teenagers in the game today.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think the system is different. In some ways, although Australia is a big country, the population's smaller. So it was easier for us to identify, and we don't have a bigger player pool. So in many ways, that makes it easier to identify young talent. And we had programmes in place in each of the cities where we could get our best young players in our system at a very young age. We also had, which is probably a plus and a minus in some ways to the US, we didn't have a college system. You know, a college system here is a huge plus in the sense it gives you know, an inordinate amount of players somewhere to play from the ages of 17 to 21. At the same time, they're not in a national. The national team don't have control over them, or too much control during that time. The good thing in Australia with the young players that have come through is that our system, our national team system, had control over them from a young age.
Can you ask last question?
So is it an advantage to have to Sam for anything to be here?
Huge enormous. You know, you can't buy that experience. For someone like Sam Kerr, who's still only, Sam came into our national team January 2009 at the age of 15. So she's been in it for 4 years. The Australian national team. It's not. For her to come here, play with alongside Abby Wambach, to play in a professional league with top class players is invaluable. This is a great experience for them.